to make a community-based event in Greenpoint that is meaningful for Greenpoint and that responds to the needs of the community in some respect. It's a light art festival that happens adjacent to the waterfront along the East River, and the reason why it's happening there is because the festival is meant to serve as a tool of advocacy for public access to the waterfront. When we started to do it last year, it was an unbelievably difficult proposition to get any little bit of public access, even just for one single night. And so we spent probably 2-3 months trying to negotiate with landlords and to figure out whether any of the park spaces that are promised or under construction or under development could be accessed for this one night. It turned out that, that it wasn't possible, which was a hugely disappointing thing. On the other hand, we did manage to almost accidentally bring 3,000-4,000 people out in the streets adjacent to the waterfront through a nice coincidence of the Greenpoint Open Studios happening that night. Putting together this festival in a really guerrilla style the first year, and it being a really beautiful night, plus an amazing job of the producers and curators of the festival, making it a spectacular, beautiful event. So that resulted in a couple of different things. First of all, a great success from the point of view of art and a community-based art project, because the people who came out were really reflective of the community, of the neighborhood, but also, as I had hoped, some sense on the part of other people that it was possible to do other things on the waterfront. My involvement of it was, as I said, really trying to figure out how to activate, make public the waterfront, and so that raised immediately some other issues, which is what kind of waterfront the community would like. And since it is a community-based event, and since it has raised these issues about other people wanting to do things on the waterfront, and since the things that are zoned and planned by the city are not really happening, and they're not really anticipated to happen within the next 5 to 10 years, it seems like a great opportunity to try to take control of this process and actually make it our own to the extent that we can. So my proposal for the meeting is that we talk about the festival itself and what are the plans for this year, maybe even the plans for the next year and following years, how it sees itself being in service of the community, how it's responding to concerns that were raised as a result of the success of last year's festival. As much as people in the neighborhood enjoyed it, they also had some fears about how the scale of it could have an impact on the neighborhood. And then there were some proposals for waterfront uses that were probably responding in part to the project that people had misgivings about. So I would like to raise those issues after we talk about the festival itself, and see if we can sort of, just first of all give people an opportunity to voice their feelings, their ambitions, their desires in that regard. There are a few responsible people and a few reporter people even who might be willing to speak about what we know is already under development and planned, so that we can maybe have a shared sense of what is actually happening especially about the idea that there must be regular events, which we are not proposing at all, that would draw that many people. But instead of that, is there a way of thinking about something like a frying pan like project where we could have, you know, a little boat dock on the waterfront? Wouldn't even necessarily have to be on land, where there could be some way of using the water. Well, since last year, at least there is the East River Ferry that started running, which will be active on the night of this event. And there is almost an actual park on the East River that Stephanie can talk about. Probably give an update about when that's expected. Stephanie Thayer, the head of OSA and our great North Brooklyn Parks administrator. So maybe, I don't know who wants to speak on behalf of Bring to Life. We have Ethan Volk, who's the producer, executive producer.
What's my title? I think at this point, like now that we're a year older, I'm executive director of Research Credit. And I think talking about Tom, who does like operations and is working most closely with the city, might be the best person to tell everybody kind of what the process is like about working with the city. I think that one of the things that we are interested in is making it easier for people to do events in public space. It takes a lot of work for us to do ours, to close down the street, whether it be for a block party or anything. And so we're excited by the idea of kind of creating advocating on behalf of just sort of better regulations or easier regulations. So, but Tom can probably tell most specifically what we're proposing for this year.
Yeah. Well, I had to kind of throw in a couple other ideas based on what Stephen just talked about. We are definitely interested in how this event can be a catalyst for the community carrying out things that they've wanted for a long time. So the opportunity to work with Stephanie and other people in the neighborhood is amazing, and we view essential to the process of putting this on. So trying to help, increase waterfront access throughout the neighborhood is definitely a priority for us, and it's a priority moving forward in terms of how we think about the city. The festival is based on the idea of a Nuit Blanche, which started in Paris in the early 2000s, of having the city be open from dusk till dawn, and kind of the celebration of culture and arts and ideas in the city, and doing that in public spaces, or making spaces that were otherwise private open to the public. So we're invested in turning this into something that kind of recontextualize space throughout the city for years to come. And of course, a big part of being able to do that is getting permission to use all these different spaces, which is proven to be really complicated in most cases, because there are so many people that want to do things in New York. It means that the city can want to kind of make sure that everybody's doing it the way they want them to. So we have been working really closely with the Street Activity Permit Office, and are getting close to finalizing a site plan for that, which will make public shortly, probably this week. And have been also working with a lot of local private property owners to gain access to their space in order to, install different projects and get us out to the waterfront. That's something that we're going to do this year through one of the private property owners on between West and the water. We're going to get out to the water, which we're really excited about. And like Stephen mentioned, we're also working with New York Waterways and the East River Ferry to work on their pier there, and just have another connection to the waterfront, which has been a priority for the city over the last year. They've gone through a really in-depth waterfront planning process, and we're hoping to engage in that in the future as well. I don't know how much based on the work that Stephen's done, we've been in contact with a number of different community members, and I can go into specific concerns that have been voiced and how we're dealing with those now, or I don't know if we want to kind of keep talking at a general level and then get into that. What do you think, Stephen?
I don't know.